All right, folks, up next we have category number 7. Now, Truth Wanted hears a lot of religious claims, some of them more obscure than others. So we thought we'd make a category for the most obscure religious claims of the year. And hosting this particular category is our Discord mod and nonprofits host, Malty.
Many of us were formerly religious, and admittedly, we had some fairly crazy beliefs. But then, once in a while, someone calls into Truth Wanted with a topic that most people would think is absolutely strange and or unique. The nominees in the category of most obscure religious beliefs are Discord Zone Oriax with Chaos Magic.
I'm trying to think. I've been busy, so I haven't been doing magic.
Listen,
it's kind of
Oriax,
on my list.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If I could do fucking magic, I'd dedicate that 40 hours a week. That's my full-time thing now. If I could do magic.
Pierre from France with Raelianism.
Doesn't speak of a god or gods, but it was speaking of extraterrestrials.
Okay, so those are two very different claims, and I'm wondering how you know both of those things.
And Robin with Ghost Cat.
Well, Robin, what did you call us to talk about today?
You know, I thought it would be fun to talk about an experience that I had with what I can only describe, or at least what I have now described as a ghost cat experience.
A ghost cat?
Yes, a ghost cat. So this is
a literal cat who's a ghost?
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool.
I want to hear more.
And the winner is Robin with Ghost Cat.
I want to hear more about this. Keep going.
All right. So, ghost cat experience. I had bought this little runt of the litter cat that I named Maya. She and I had a special connection. She slept between my legs or under my armpit every night and waited for me by the door, and we had a great relationship. She was just the sweetest cat ever. I was living in the desert of California, and for whatever reasons, I had to do a road trip where I picked up a car in North Carolina and I drove it all the way back to where I was living in California. Of course, I did not bring my cat with. So while I was gone, I traveled from North Carolina to Chicago, and then I went through Missouri, and I spent the night with a girlfriend of mine. So I'm in the bedroom, and the door is closed, and there are no animals or anything in the room, just me. And I'm laying on a waterbed. You all know what waterbeds are like. So the first night that I'm there at about 10:30, I'm laying completely still on the waterbed, and all of a sudden the waterbed moved. Like it felt like a cat-sized creature jumped on the bottom of the bed, and it made the water move from my feet going up to my head. I was like, that's really weird. And so I wake up in the morning and I tell my friend, I'm like, do you have any like ghost cats hanging around the house? Because it felt like something jumped on the bed last night. And she's like, oh, I've had a lot of, cats. It could be, you never know. And the next night comes, and it's about 11:15, and I'm laying in the bed. And again, at the bottom of the bed, it feels like a cat-weighted sized creature jumped on the bottom of the bed. It made the waterbed move all the way up to my face. And I just, felt kind of like a cat. So I was just like, hi, kitten, because I'm a weirdo. So next couple days go by. I'm driving my way from Missouri to California, and I get a call from the person that I'm staying with. And he says, I really am sorry to tell you this. I wanted to wait until you got back, but 3 nights ago, Maya ran away, and she hasn't come back. And so the reason I'm convinced that this is a ghost cat is because I had no idea that she was dead. And on the night that she disappeared was the first night that I had the experience. And I also had like a spiritual sense, or maybe it was just by the feeling of the water moving, that it seemed like a cat. And that is my ghost cat story.
Okay,
Well,
so
I am
what's your take
sorry.
on this, Ethan? Let's start with you. Go ahead.
Well, for one, I am terribly sorry about the cat. You know me, and I love kitties, and I would be absolutely devastated if I lost my baby.
I was. I drove from the Grand Canyon back that night and I called out for her, but I knew she was dead because she already came and said goodbye to me. That's kind of how I, rationalized that experience. It was sad.
So this makes me sad, and it makes me not want to ask questions because I.
Okay, I'll lead with the
This
first
was
one.
honestly like 12 years ago.
Okay. Well, let's start with and this is something that's because I am a cat owner. I've been a cat owner ever since I was like 15 years old. And one thing that I had to learn to do with cats is not to anthropomorphize their behavior, because I don't think that they do things for the reasons we think they do things. I've heard, and I can find a source on this, and we'll talk about this in other places too, that when a cat likes to sleep on you, it's more out of a sense of they want to be able to detect when you're moving because they feel like they have to protect you. Right. So if they accidentally fall asleep, then at least if you move, it's going to wake them up and they can go right back into protector mode. Right. Like the reason they give you gifts, like, they leave dead animals on your bed. It's not out of kindness. It's more out of a sense of this is how adult cats teach their kittens how to hunt. They give them dead prey or close to dead prey to practice hunting. So your cat's not giving you gifts and being affectionate. They're telling you you're a lousy provider and you need to really work on your hunting skills. So when I think about animals, the first thing that I think of is, their behavior. They do have patterns of behavior. I don't necessarily know that it's a good thing to anthropomorphize it and say and assume that they have the same priorities that we do. I think that cats. I've read a lot of places where cats think of humans as basically gigantic, hairless, really stupid kittens, and we need to be cared for. That's why they follow us down to the basement, because they know that we can't see in the dark very well. So they go down there and lead the way so that we are not in danger.
Wait, you think they're that nice?
I think it's in their best interest to keep us alive, at the very worst, because we're a big body to dispose of. But yeah, okay. And then the other thing that I have to wonder about is how many of these experiences happen at night, right? And one idea that comes up is the idea that it's just when you're in that phase where you're about to fall asleep and it's possibly some kind of dream state that you're in. Like we've all had that kind of dream where you're walking and suddenly you fall and you lurch awake, right? And it makes me wonder why so many of these occasions happen when it's late at night and the only one who's there is you or maybe your partner, but they're already asleep. Instead of happening in broad daylight when there's a lot of people around. It's like, hey, did anybody just feel a cat walk by? So why do you think, Robin, these incidents happen at the time that they do?
I truly think that they happen more at night for most people because you're not as distracted by things at night. During the day, there's so many things going on that if an experience like that did happen, you probably wouldn't notice it as much than an experience where you're, laying still and it's quiet and nothing's happening. Then you're more able to be aware of your surroundings.